Hey everybody, looks like we made it to yet another Wednesday. It's so cool to see everybody. It's a hot one here in New Jersey. It's rough, guys, but we're making it through. So let's see who we have today. Hey, we got Roy, Color Graphics 49. Great to see you. We also have Blue. Wonderful to see you. How's it going? We have Willie. Nice to see you. And Mr. Steve Leahy, thank you so much for coming by, sir. And all the way from Wisconsin, Mr. John Diekman. Hey, Rick, how's it going? Did your airbrush arrive? I think it's going to arrive on Thursday or Friday, but it is in transit, which is really good. So I'm going to send you an email on how to set the Extreme Patriot Arrow up and some real tips on getting started. So that's going to be really great. So we are already up to part 3 of painting the sepia portrait, and I'm excited about it. It's the first time I painted in sepia in a very long time. How's the picture quality and the sound quality, guys? You guys are my eyes and ears, of course. So I am going to check it out. Let me see my videos. I'm just going to look at the picture quality. Oh, not bad, not bad. Been worse. So we're doing pretty good. So very, very cool. So how was your trip to Massachusetts, Mr. Steve Leahy? How was that? I hope you had a great time with your family. I'm sure it was very recreational and just regenerative. So that's very cool. Let me turn mute on me over there. Great. So we have Mr. John Payne in the house. How are you, sir? The nameless subscriber, how are you doing? Good to see you. So yeah, part 3 of the sepia painting. So things are starting to slowly come together. When I say slowly, I mean slowly. The same technique applies, right? We are slowly building things up, going from light to dark, but working out value relationships along the way. And so that together will give you a image that is gradually coming into focus, and then you can push things out of focus and bring things more into focus. So you're more in control, trying to hit everything correct at that one moment. So this is a much better way of handling it. So that is good. So Mr. Leahy says it was way too quick, I could imagine. Must have been great seeing everybody. Yeah, it must be great getting back to, you know, Beantown and all of that stuff. That must have been really cool. So, let me go ahead and see if I can pull up the reference image for you all. Let's see. I'm going to go here, media, and I just have to find that picture. Let me see. Sepia live stream. Here it is. Bam, there it is. So you can see what I'm doing, the direction I'm going. I did not change this to a sepia color scheme. It pretty much was sepia. That's why, Letitia, how you doing? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. One of my ink flingers hats that I made. So I appreciate the shout out. Hey Raul, how's it going? Good to see you. Brad's here. Great to see ya. So we have a nice healthy group today. Healthy in size and healthy in health. So I hope and pray. And so let's see. So oh, the red hat. Yeah, it's pretty cool though, you know. It's I like red. Red stands out, and so that's good. So we're always going to begin with the light mixture, because like anything else, a relief pitcher in baseball. Hey Colette, good to see you. A relief pitcher comes into a baseball game. He doesn't face live batters right away. He throws about 10 to 15 practice pitches. Same thing. Thanks, Raul. I appreciate that. And painting on canvas. Yeah, painting on canvas is a slippery slope. There's a lot to it. A lot of things that, um, that texture is always rough to fight, right? I find it. So, it is nice to have that texture, but when that texture gets in the way, especially when airbrushing, it does get to be a little daunting. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on what was fun about it. Definitely. And let's go ahead and focus on our young lady here in sepia. There she is. And I'm going to pull up my reference, which you aren't going to see on Pure Ref. And let's see, sepia. Okay, there we are. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Extreme Patriot arrow, which is this guy right here. And I'm going to load this with my light mixture. And this is a customized Extreme Patriot arrow that I make for aspiring airbrush and professional airbrush artists alike. For $149, you get the detail, as you can see, that I can normally get with the custom micron. So for a fraction of the cost, you get the detail that you need, and to me that's a win-win situation. So let's come over here, and now I have to look for my light sepia. And pretty soon I'll be selling my sepia mixtures. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're just going to love it. It's going to open up a whole new world to you. And I think that's going to be great. Oh, you were being facetious. How about that? That's funny. Yeah, Canvas can beat us up, right? So it's great to see Letitia. Thank you so much for coming by and hanging out. Okay, never ever, when you first spray, never spray on your artwork. Always spray off to the side. Make sure, because when you clean the airbrush the night before, you don't know if you put that needle all the way forward. And you never want that first spray to be on your artwork. That would be so sad, Definitely. So let's see here. Okay, so here we go. So game plan. We just don't go right in. I usually take notes, so when I finish a painting, I know what to do when I come back in, but this time I didn't. So what I want to do is I want to survey the whole painting and just look and see what are some areas that might be missing that I'm kind of ignoring, and maybe we can attack them right now. So I can see, if I look, that this area of her outfit definitely needs some work. I like putting magnets very close to the edge of the Mylar, because this way it won't billow underneath. And you always gotta worry. You always gotta fight the normal qualities of airbrush so they don't come back to haunt you. Every medium has its thing it wants to do to you, and airbrush wants to create ugly overspray. That's what it wants to do. That's its only goal, I think, and it's our job to fight that. I'm gonna raise the air pressure. I'm just going to work on this area right here. And this is not white. This is definitely closer to this skin tone here. So I'm just going to make sure if there's any value disparities that are out of order, you always have to make sure that you address that. Hey Ronnie, how you doing? Oh, so you got the airbrush that I ordered from me. Ah, thank you. So you really like it, Ronnie? Ronnie is from Philadelphia, and he ordered one of my customized airbrushes, and I'm so thankful you gave me a chance. And if you have any questions about the airbrush, you let me know. So exciting. So I love that. I love it, and I love when those who purchase the airbrush are happy with it, because I give 110% with it. I test each airbrush for over an hour, sometimes more. And what I do is I work on my own painting with the airbrush that you purchase from me. And if it doesn't do everything that my airbrushes do, it doesn't get sent out to you. So I like to think that that's the best customer service out there right now, just by doing that. Patty, good to see you. How are you? How was that storm? I believe in Facebook you said you were having a storm. Is that correct? So there are several little forms in here, and I just want to address those individual forms and just make sure that I'm not getting lost in the large shapes, that I'm also addressing the smaller shapes. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Everyone always says do the large shapes and the small shapes. Correct. But you want to make sure you don't make the face or anything you're painting too generic. So you still have to worry about the specific when you're doing the general, right? You still have to worry about that. Winds were pretty bad. No damage, I hope. So that's pretty cool. And so down here, we're going to use our freehand shield. We're going to work on, so I'm not sure. My question is, does this come down here like this? Or is this part of the dark? So I really feel that as this is coming down here, let me see if I can address this. So if this is coming down here, this is coming out, this is part of the neck, and then this is also part of the neck coming down, hitting here, coming over, and then this comes out, and then comes down like this. So we have a little bit of a drawing error, but nothing too huge that we can't fix. So what we're going to do is we're going to address this drawing error right here. That's the great thing about working very light. It's not the end of the world if you have to make an adjustment. And then here we have a nice beautiful gradation as the neck turns. It turns away from the light. Oh, let me get my airbrush glove. Of course, this is the official Ink Flingers airbrush glove. It comes in red on black and white on black, which is really cool. And these airbrush gloves, you know, they're really great. They don't hug your hands too much, but they fit really nice, and they protect your artwork from the oils that are in your skin. So that's the reason why I always use an airbrush glove. And you get that on inkflingers.com. Okay, here we go. So right now we see this comes over here and comes down right like this, like that, I believe. I'm going to double check and make sure that looks right. See, this comes here, this comes out, we have this shape right here coming right, okay, then we have this shape right here coming down right about here. So now we can take our eraser and kind of pull out this shape here. And just doing a little drawing, you know, it's not always going to be perfect the first time. You may have to make some adjustments as you go. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh, you're very welcome, Ronnie. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure, you know. Always a pleasure, you know, dealing with everyone, and You know, that's why I love giving extra. In life, we don't get too many extras, but when you order from me, you always get something extra. A lot of times we don't even get what we pay for. So that's why it's always a pleasure to give a little extra. Just gonna darken this area here. And this area is quite interesting. So this cast shadow from her hand, let's see, this cast shadow from her hand is actually a much more definite shape than I have. So don't be afraid to use your pencil. I'd much rather you draw with a pencil than with an airbrush. There we go, and I can get a little more specific. But more importantly, I want to try and get that hard edge, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spray perpendicular and not parallel. This seems like it's time for my glasses here. And we're just going to try and get that hard edge. When you're painting, it's all about edges. Am I right? It's all about edges. Shapes, then edges, then the shapes within the shapes. In that order. There we go. And you can see it's a nice hard edge. And I'm going to come back in with a darker, the medium mixture, and that should work wonders. I'm going to define this form here. And let's see, right here we have a definition of form. Go. So, question was, do we what kind of paper we're going to work with. So this was the first one working with the ink mixtures, the sepia mixtures, and it isn't optimal. It's on Bristol, it's on white. We can't use the light mixture as well. So one of the things I found was color line paper by Canson, 300 pound, and it has the smooth side. And I believe this color is, I don't know, it's like like a yellowish color. You'll see it online. And I will, if you are interested, I will give you 5 sheets for $5 if you're interested. I'll cut them 8.5 by 11. So if we darken it a little bit, you can see that it is kind of like a, it's not an eggshell color. It's more like, it's almost the exact color of a manila envelope. If you see, very close, a little bit darker. So very good. And I think that's going to go much better with sepia. So how do I know that? The reason is that when you see old master paintings, artists that use the old masters, when they do sepia, they usually do it on that yellowish eggshell kind of color. So that's my thinking and why I found that. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to be doing a new painting on that, after, you know, in between. So you're going to see how that that yellow color works. Let's see. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my Extreme Patriot 105, also customized by myself. I love it. It has a larger cup, of course, so you don't have to refill it as much. I always paint from the side, so I don't have to worry about that cup getting away with my vision. So that's not a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up my medium mixture, and we're going to load that into our airbrush. Let's see. I don't currently have this in bottles yet, so I'll just put it in with an eyedropper. Okay. Always want to work clean, so I'm just going to make sure that I clean up after myself, because who else is going to clean up after me? Nobody. Let me go get some water. Okay. Here. So Willie, what would be convenient? I'm sorry about that. Kind of got involved in this stuff. Oh, if someone cleaned up after me, perhaps. I wouldn't mind that. Okay, testing off my medium mixture, and let's go to town. There we go. And let's start getting some deeper values. We went ahead and did our practice pitches with the light mixture, and now we can start doing some nice darks, you know. Oh, the paper, sure, definitely. So let me know. I do sell, it's only $5 for 5 sheets that I cut for you guys. And you see here it's much darker, so what we're going to do is we're going to build up that dark here, but maintaining our transition tone here. So we're just going to, and we're going to watch the border, right? It's not just a straight line, there's a meandering going on, having to do with the anatomical forms that are underneath these areas that are getting light and not getting light. So this dark right here is going to be really important because we want to feel that light, right? We want to feel that light coming down and crashing onto her. And how we feel that light is by touching on and painting the darkness. So let me go and put on the kettle while I'm contemplating this. I'll be right back. So basically I have some green matcha tea with my name on it, and we're going to let that kettle boil. So let's see what we have. Yes, tea blue, exactly, exactly. see. Yeah, Blue's doing very good with her artwork. I agree. I'm just pumping that trigger. Keeping the air down, pumping that trigger. And just building up this dark here. Also worrying about these shapes, because it's not just the values you got to get right. You have to get the shapes, and then you have to get the edges as they react and relate to the adjacent shapes, just like so. And let's not get distracted. We're just going to continue with the program. We're going to work on this large dark shape here. It's not much light in this shape. It's pretty much a one value. There is a little bit of a glow in there, but we'll address that later. When you have something like this, you always spray away, never towards it. When you spray towards it, you're going to have it bellow underneath, and you're going to have some nice ghosting. No ghosting. It's a no ghosting zone. Okay, so where else can we see these rich darks that we can repeat, right? And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start coming in with some rich darks here. I think the saturation's a little too high. Let me lower that saturation. There we go. And let's see if I can change the color. Maybe make it a little more warmer. That's greener. Let's go this way. There we go. That's closer to what I have. Okay, perfect. Just want to get closer to what it looks like when I'm painting it, right? And so let's continue over here. And we have some really nice darks in the hair mask. So let's work on that. Otherwise, this is going to be too jarring. So we want to make sure that we just bring everything else in line. Don't get too wet. We have to always guard against that. Always, always. Because that's going to really mess things up. Yeah, I find that this color is really difficult to find. If you can find it, pick it up. But if not, you can purchase it from me. Okay, let's look at that, her hair there. So there is some light here, but what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and see if we can fix this border here. And I have to stop myself from getting too wet. And there's always, see, there's a line there. That's because of the edge, and originally using that freehand shield. So that's something we definitely can rectify as we go. No rush. Just everything's a slow build up. And try and, you know, not get distracted from other areas. Just continue sticking with the program. Try not to get distracted. Always work away from the mylar shields here, not towards them. You stick with that, you're going to be okay. And of course, since we worked out this dark, we're bringing this dark up there, and we're just continuing and changing the dynamic range here. So now it's much greater from the range between the lightest light and the darkest dark. So that's basically increasing the dynamic range. And I believe the dynamic range is a term that photographers use. Basically means the value range. Pumping that trigger, getting a much stronger sense of light and dark here. And oh, I don't think we're in focus. Let's see. Let's see if we can focus this a little better. That's good. Okay, can't do better than that. It's a nice focus now. And let's see. Steve, have a great night. Good to see you, my friend. And don't work too hard. I'm glad you're back in Ohio. And can't wait to see the new stuff you're painting. And I'm always looking forward to seeing that wonderful snow scene. That is like one of my favorite paintings ever by any artist. I just want you to know that. That thing is unbelievable. Let's see here. Okay, let's go back in with our light mixture. Okay. I have my light mixture here. We can work out some of the turning of the forms, both the larger forms and the smaller forms alike. Yes, always great to have you around, Mr. Steve. Always a pleasure. And let's see here. Okay, so let me go ahead, and you can see how we're going to slowly start turning this area. We're going to look at these forms, and we're going to really feel that light as it caresses her. So that's what we're going to work on. Let me go get my tea. I'll be right back. Fresh lime today, so that's exciting. Not a bad turnaround. And I am back. I'm just gonna let my tea seep a little bit. And now we can... Okay, great. Thanks for your patience, guys. I appreciate it. Oh, Blue, yes. So Blue got the hat as well. Yes, and Ronnie says he needs to get a hat and a shirt. Like, oh, definitely. I do sell them, Ronnie. So if you're interested, just email me at paintedglyphs@gmail.com. I sell both of them together, I believe, for $39.95. That's a really great value. And the quality is really good. The quality in the hat and the shirt, highest quality, 100% cotton. I wore it today and it really was breathing well, so that was good. And it's 90 something degrees today. Oh, that's great, Rick. Thank you. Let me know. See, I'm rebuilding my website, and I'm going to have everything really up there where people can, you know, easily order stuff. But right now, I'm still in the construction stage, going from Painted Glyphs to inkflingers.com. So that's going to be my new domain. Of course, if you hit Painted Glyphs, you're still going to see my old work. But as far as new work, new airbrush stuff, and the airbrushes and everything, that's all going to be on inkflingers.com. Again, it's all about deepening those values throughout. And when I was, before I went to get my tea, I know I was coming in with the light mixture, and I was, let's see, I was working here. So we want to make this turn a little bit better. Go. I'm just going to concentrate on this area, really try and look at those individual forms. See, a lot of these areas, they look white, but they really aren't. So what I do is I increase my distance and I spray over them, so it's still lighter than the other areas, but definitely isn't white. Distance is a great tool to get subtle and build up values more slowly and deliberately. See, we have to worry about getting too wet. What happens is it starts to bead, and this is not the optimal paper, so I have to be a little more careful of oversaturating. We oversaturate, it will make you pay. So we have to be very careful. And here's that transition tone I talked about earlier. And careful about getting too wet. Now I can go back to my medium mixture, increase my distance, and get a nice gradation from here. And I can gradate into that lighter value. definitely. This is a much darker value. There's much closer disparity between values here. Even if I have the medium mixture, if I'm further enough away, it's going to become a lighter mixture. So you can do that. Let's continue working on this area right here. A lot of areas are going to look like they're white, but when you really look at them and how they relate to the adjacent values, you'll see that they're definitely not white. So you just have to adjust them. But don't go too crazy and make them too dark. That's something we have to really watch out for. Let's see what I've been missing. Blue says, Tim meant to ask, which is the best paper to practice the inks on? You know, the best paper is definitely to practice. Oh boy, I would say to practice you can do regular sketch pad. You can work on that. But then you definitely want the Colorline paper by Canson, the Pebble Gray, the 300 GSM or 184 pound. That's definitely the best. So now we're going to build up this nostril here. So I'm looking at this nostril and there's a very interesting cast shadow right here. So let's see if we can get that without getting too harsh. And so we're going to really be careful. Yes, now nameless subscriber, yes. So you want a thick paper, but what's great about the Colorline paper by Canson is that it is semi-smooth with a little bit of tooth, so it doesn't really, the tooth doesn't get in the way, and when you erase, you're able to erase quite easily, which is good. So now I do find the watercolor paper though, nameless, really will kick our butts. It kicked my butt. So I don't tend to use the watercolor paper. Getting a little bit of spidering here, nothing we can't take care of. We can lower that pressure with the pack valve. There we go, that nice, really dark transition tone. And it sort of blends right nicely into the dark of this wing of the nostril here. Right here is an interesting dark. As this comes over here, there's this little indentation by her nose here. Now I don't want to get too wet, so I'm just going to calm down a little bit and let that dry, and then I'm going to come back. And then I'll reassess that shape as I go. And you can see I'm deepening those shadows, right? And that's my goal, the deepening those shadows. And magazines are good. That's good advice, definitely. That's good advice there, Nameless. Keep that 1 second rule going. You know, always, always. 1 second rule is the most important rule out of everything. Look for a second, paint for a second. You want to get lighter, you increase your distance, and you'll continue, you know, with the same ink or paint coming out, but it'll be lighter. Okay, so now we worked on that area, and we can go ahead and assess the shapes that we were doing over here. So let's blow this up, and we can look at that a little bit better. Okay, now I'm just going to work on this shape here. And then we're going to come in with our light mixture and work on the border. Same thing over here. We'll work on this border as it comes over. Not too happy with the light mixture today. I'm not sure what's happening. So we're just gonna reassess that light mixture before I send any out. Because I won't send it out until it's perfect. So the light mixture is not working the way I want it to. And I'm gonna look at it. Now remember, my ink mixtures work perfectly. I mean, those are over many years of painting with those inks. So when you have those ink mixtures, they're gonna do everything you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it. Now, these sepia mixtures are still in their infancy, so I'm not gonna send it out until I know 100% without a shadow of a doubt that this is the best stuff out there. I wish it was the humidity. I think what's happening is that for some reason I'm not getting enough of the pigment, and so, you know, and I don't like that. And when that's happening, I feel that when I spray on it, it's not adhering to the surface the way I want. It could be this Bristol, but still, it's gonna slow down the distribution of my sepia mixtures, that's for sure. It could be the humidity, but that would be horrible. So that means if someone bought them from me and it's a humid day, it wouldn't work. And what would make me sad is that person would think that it was them and not my mixtures that was causing the problem, and it could hurt their confidence. So that's why I definitely would never sell anything that wasn't working perfectly every time under all conditions, like my regular India inks. But this surface does leave a lot to be desired, but still, it doesn't mean that we'll see how it works on the Canson, and I think the Canson is going to solve a lot of these problems, but still, I want to make sure it's perfect, you know. But definitely could be the humidity. That's a very good point there, Patty. Very good point. Okay, let's zoom out. Okay, everything's going okay as planned, which is good. And let's darken this cast shadow here. Just make sure we don't get too wet. And let's darken this value as we come down further. Just like that. And let's see what we have here. So look at that, we're almost at the 10:30 mark already. The first hour is already gone, so that's going at a good clip. So that's good. Yeah, you guys in Canada are gonna have to be my my test subjects when you guys buy it out in Canada, Brad. I can try and paint at the liquor store where they have those big lockers where they keep the beer. That might work. Or I can go to the butcher shop. Oh, that's good. Good matcha tea. The butcher shop will be good as long as they allow me. That would be a good way to test it under frigid conditions. Love my Canada peeps. Canada's a great country. Really enjoy my Canadian friends. See, right here we have this white here, and it's not white at all, so we're going to go ahead and be a good distance and just calm down these values here. Calm them down. We need to pull them back, that's fine, we can do that. Have a good distance from here. Just bring all that back into line. Oh, thank you, Wendy. How are you? I appreciate that. We're just building her up slowly, you know, and little by little. Oh, you start physical therapy tomorrow. How are you feeling, Wendy? Okay? I hope you're doing well. All this area here is not so bright. We're just going to darken. Bringing everything more in line. Getting that balance, that, you know, tonal balance. That's so important. Let's take a look here. Okay. Right here it's slightly lighter, but I have to really have a light touch with this kneaded eraser, this aggressive eraser. I mean a super light touch. Just going to work on some of the intricacies of her nose. Oh, you're still swollen. Oh my goodness. Oh, I see. And physical therapy will help, definitely. So we're just gonna put some luminosity here. We're just gonna lightly crosshatch some light in that shadow there, very lightly. And then we're gonna come in with our medium mixture, and we're just going to paint in the cartilage right here, just like that. Lighten this up. So I'm pretty much going to stay in the medium mixture until I resolve what's going on with the light mixture there. So right here we have her cylinder of her mouth there, but then we have this other shape which is coming up pretty fast, and adjacent is right here, which is her cheek. So we definitely have to make sure that we show where one form begins and one form ends. See how that important it is to catch that? If you don't catch that, it might look good, but it won't have the turning of the form. So that's something that you definitely want to look for and represent. And this is pretty light, but also we can see that it is pretty, this border here is pretty harsh, so it's important to show that. And then right here we have the light on the surrounding her lips, on the upper lip, so we want to definitely show that. 1 second rule will keep us from going off base here. Just want to make sure that we stay solid in our observational skills. I have different erasers here. If I could find that knock eraser, which is really nice. It's soft, yet you can get pretty specific with it. So this is a good opportunity to use something like this. And then we could use this for texture. Just do some little circular movements while I'm watching what I'm doing, right? I'm watching, I'm actually doing the 1 second rule. Still working on some texture here. Bringing down here, goes right past the corner of the mouth and comes all the way down here. Right? So we want to make sure that we show that. And then this form comes over here, comes down and kind of dissipates. And so that's the way we want to. Hey Anderson, good to see you. How are you today, sir? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Definitely. Have a great night, Patty. Thanks for coming by. Always a pleasure. And I hope you don't work too hard tomorrow. Get to take it easy a little bit. You deserve it. And so we're just going to continue trying to get specific with some of these shapes here. More in line with what's there. Because the face and when you're doing a portrait, it's different areas that you are working with. And they're all interrelated, so it's definitely to keep looking for that. Look for how shapes and forms differ and also are alike. Oh, you're welcome, Patty. Always great to see you. Okay, so now we're back to the forehead, and I can see that forehead is way too light. The value range is huge, and if we look at the reference, we'll see the value range is definitely out of whack. So our goal is always to bring that back, right? If it's out of whack, you got to bring it back when it comes to values. So there's another Timism for you. When it's out of whack, you got to bring those values back. And it's really important because you're always surveying everything. You're always looking and saying, is that value in line with everything else? No, it isn't. So we have to correct that. And while we're correcting that, I can see that the values here are too close to one another. So we have to work on that too, So we're going to come in with my light mixture again. We'll give it another shot and we'll see if we could bring this value here in line. Okay, I think if I raise my air pressure, the light mixture is doing a little bit better. But still something I have to address. It's probably a little tweak I have to do, but before I send it out, it has to be perfect. I'm about 6 inches away and I'm lightly dusting this area. And remember I told you that this area was out of whack, so I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to use that knock eraser with very light texture. And I'm going to definitely work on just making the bridge of her nose actually lighter because it is more light facing. So if that was the same value, it wouldn't work. What I do with my glove, I always put it in my pocket and forget it's in my pocket. So as you can see, the official Ink Flingers Airbrush gloves, which are available on right now on paintedglyphs.com. If you have any questions, just email me, paintedglyphs@gmail.com. That would be great. So these inks really erase well. Better than the, they erase even better than my Black India ink mixtures. So that's something for you all to look forward to. But nothing is perfect. It's all gonna have, they're all gonna have their pluses and minuses. Everything. Now this is a little bit too light. We're going to dust this, but I have to get this shape correctly right here. Where there's a light, there usually is a dark. So let's go ahead and get that dark that's next to that light, and the dark that's in front of that light. And now we're just going to get the edges correct. Okay. Now this here is reserved for a light in the hair. I don't usually do that. I don't know what made me do that, but that's the decision I made. So I'll work on that when I come in with the hair. I'm going to do some of the shadows of these eyelashes here. One second rule will keep your head in the game. Keep you from going equidistant in the same size. That's crucial to make sure that you're not equidistant in the same size. This is very dark here, so we're just going to continue this as we move further up. Just continue this dark all the way up here. Down here you can see I'm neglecting some areas. We're going to get there, but we'll just have patience with that. So right in here we have a light in this shadow here. So let's see if we could address this a little bit. This light in the shadow. Great question. Hey Colin, how you been? Good to see you, my friend. Another one of my Canadian friends. How's everything, sir? Great to see Colin. Colin's an old friend. We used to watch his live streams back in the day. He watched my live streams back in the day. It's always a pleasure to see you. So, great to see you, Colin. Let me come over here. And these things get out of whack. they kind of lose their spot here. So we're just going to make sure we have this correct. So, okay, great question from Blue. Basically, how to keep your distance. Hey, Hillbilly, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that, my friend. Oh, that's such an honor. Thank you, sir. You know, these things that you guys do really means a lot to me. It means that I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right track. A lot of times I give up opportunities for sponsorships and everything because I only want to be 100% authentic to my followers and my community. So, and this helps me realize when stuff like this happens, I'm going down the right road. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Hillbilly. I really appreciate it. More than you know, sir. So, yes, keeping your distance. I use, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use a ruler and let's say, you know, try and remember what distance I had gotten from different values. And what I'll do is I'll make sure when I move, if I feel myself going closer, I'll push myself back and I'll try to move parallel like this, like that when I'm going. So let's say I'm working on this dark and I want to work here. I'll stop spraying, hold down the air, come up here by just going in straight movements and then come over here like that. And that will help you keep that same distance. I think that helps a lot. So definitely try that. And don't worry about being the exact distance, but always catch yourself, because I always find myself going in close, and that's where I really have to be diligent and say, hey, wait a minute, I have to be in control. So I definitely see how that could happen, you know. So keep practicing your distance. Do some boxes and some squares and circles and stuff like that, and try to keep your same distance from, let's say, 6 inches. Then do the same distance from, let's say, 4 inches and 2 inches, and see exactly how that works. And I think that will be very good. So when you do that, you'll get used to, okay, 3 inches I'll get this value at the light mixture, and maybe 6 inches I'll get that same value with the medium mixture. So those are things that, you know, you really want to pay attention to, are really going to help you. So great question. Oh, so Colin asked, am I using the FW Sepia Bombay? No, this is actually my own mixture of a lot of different things. And so this is my first time painting with it, Colin. And I'm going to be offering this once I get it perfected. The sepia mixtures, just like my black and white mixtures, which is exciting. So I'm almost at the point where I'm going to be rolling them out, but just not yet. I just want to make sure everything's perfect, do a couple of paintings with it, and that would be great, you know. Hillbilly says he's always lurking. You know, it's always great to have your support, sir. Yeah, so I did like FW ink, but they didn't erase very well. They kind of left me high and dry when I wanted to erase. So this is why I came up with my own, you know. And oh, the airbrush is working really well. I am customizing it for people all over the world. Just sold one to Australia, Philadelphia, Germany, Bosnia, Poland, Canada, and United States, of course. And so it's really catching on, and I really feel it's a perfect alternative to get custom micron detail for $149 US. So thanks for asking, Colin. It really is doing well, and it's a labor of love, you know. It's like I really want people to experience an incredible airbrush for $149. And I stand behind it. If there's anything wrong, I always have my people send it to me and I fix it at no additional charge. So that's a good thing that I offer. And the money back guarantee. If you're not satisfied within the first 30 days of using it, I'll take it off your hands with a full refund. But I really feel once people really start using it, they're not going to want to go back to their other airbrush. And that's been the case so far, which is good, you know. Thank you, Colin. Yeah, and you know, I test it for over an hour after I do the regular checkpoint, making sure that the the valve is good, the air valve is good, there are no air leaks, the needle is good. After all those things are checked, then I paint with it for an hour. Not daggers and and dots and little circles, but actually work on a painting for an hour. And so when I work on that painting, if there are any problems, I'll see it and I'll fix it and test it again until it's actually the same as my airbrush. And if it isn't as good as my airbrush, it doesn't get shipped out. And there are quite a few airbrushes that are off to the side that just weren't good enough and I didn't send out, and picked up and built another airbrush because it just didn't meet the criteria. Okay, so we're going to work on this top part of her hair. Rick put his Sotar away. Sotars are great. I love the Sotar. Don't get me wrong, but the Extreme Custom Arrow, the customized version, it definitely is head and shoulders over the Sotar. I go head to head with any Sotar with this airbrush any day. Any day of the week. That's a bet I would win every time. Okay, so what we can do, since we're working on this area, let's see if we can come in with the Mylar here. Let's see if I can find the right one. Yes, I think I'm going to come in and start working on the background. So let me put this here. That's good. That's a very good advice there, Nameless. I appreciate that. Put this aside for now. And let's see. I like that. We have to go much darker with the background, so we're going to work on that a little bit. And then I'm going to get something separate for the hand there. Oop, we missed. You got to make sure, even though you had it perfect, when you put the magnets on, make sure that it didn't shift, because it has a tendency to do that. So you have to be real careful, super careful. Tomorrow, 97 degrees, guys, here. And when they say 97, it really means 100, because it always goes up. So I'm not looking forward to that. Tomorrow is Thursday. I believe I have one class in the morning. And so it's good in the morning. It's not going to be too cold. I believe it's a 9 o'clock class. And after that, I'm going to go to the post office, send out some hats that everyone purchased. And then I'm just going to get in that air conditioned room with my iPad and just hang out and do some digital art, because I don't think I'm going to be able to be in this studio. The air conditioners in the larger part of the house just don't work. Is that similar to you guys? Do you guys have problem in the larger areas of your house with the air conditioners working correctly? because that's what I find. Okay, there seems to be something sticking here. What is it? Why isn't this moving over? Oh, okay. I think it was touching the edge of the paper. If any area is going to have a little bit of dark, I'm going to let it be this area here, down here. So let's see if I can just nail this. Okay, nailed it. I do need to get some fruit tomorrow, but I don't think that's going to happen because one's class O is going to be around 12, and I don't see that being a good thing going out of the house. So I'll just take care of answering some emails and working on some digital art, packing up some hats, making some new hats. These hats are really fantastic. I make them my own. I do it with, with a vinyl cutter, and I have a cap press. So this is not something that I order and drop ship. I make these myself. So if you do order one of these hats, you're gonna love it. Basically, any color combination, you just let me know what color combination you would like, and I can make that happen. If you want, I can put your name on it. So let me know. That's a new thing I'm doing. I'm able to put the name on the hats, which is cool. And okay, so let's see here. So we have our medium mixture, and we're not just going to go willy-nilly and just go dark. We're going to make sure that we're still doing the 1 second rule, and we're just going to make sure that the values are matching what's going on in the background of our reference material. Oh, I got the hiccups. Always spray away from your shield, okay? Always, always. So if I'm spraying away below, I'm spraying away from the shield above. And this way, I'm limiting any kind of billowing underneath. We're working in airbrush, but we're fighting that airbrush look, right? We don't want to have that airbrush look. Whoop, let's get a magnet over here on the nose. With this Bristol, we got to make sure it doesn't get too wet. So that's going to be a focal point that we're going to be very mindful of. Let's put some more medium mixture in here. That. I put some water in my eyedropper, which wasn't smart. Okay. So next week we're going to get our first look at the dark mixture of the sepia colors and our sepia mixtures. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to start seeing the dark mixture, and things are really going to start to intensify. We're going to work on the hands next week as well. Really resolve them. Okay, so here we are again with the medium mixture. Just deepening these values here in the background, going away from the mylar, not towards it. thank you. Thank you, honey, and thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. Uh, now, I'm not being fresh with Blue. Blue's name is also Honey, so I'm not being fresh with her. I just want to make sure I say that, because this day and age, you can't be too careful. It's like, who does Tim think he is, you know? So I have to make sure I clarify that. Yeah, right? This day and age with this whole, you know, everyone is like looking for something, especially what's going on in the news. I have to be careful, right? Blue says, it's okay, dear. That's funny. And Hillbilly knows what I'm talking about, right? It's a whole different environment out there today. So we have to tread lightly. In my life, I've always been too much of a gentleman. Oh, well, Brad, I definitely won't call you honey, that's for sure. Blue says that you're baby cakes, and I'm definitely not going to call you that either, Brad. That's funny. That's hilarious, Blue. I've always been too much of a gentleman. I never even knew when a woman was hitting on me, because I'm always like so aloof, thinking, you know, oh, gotta be a gentleman, and which is a good thing, but a lot of times being a gentleman, you miss the boat. Things go over my head, so I'm not really sure where women are coming from sometimes, and they're looking at me like, Tim, are you a snob? I'm like, no, I just don't know what's going on. That's what it is, you know. I'm not a snob, I just don't know what's happening. Oh, between New York and Nevada, that's great, Hillbilly. That's fantastic. Let's lift up this and see how good or how bad it looks. Let's see. Sorry for the noise of the magnets. I'll try and be a little more, because I know my microphone is right there. The microphone I use is the Yeti by Blue. It's really great. I love it. And I have air conditioning and fans going, so if it wasn't for this Yeti Blue, it would sound like I was in a boiler room. So I'm really happy with this microphone. Okay, here goes nuttin'. There we go. Okay, a little bit better. You know, we're building up those darks and, you know, letting it happen slowly. But you can see that it's getting cleaner. And, you know, Rome isn't built in a day. So we're just going to continue working. Oh, Utica. Are the Utica Devils still there? You know, the minor league hockey team for the New Jersey Devils? I hear they're usually pretty good. Now right here, so what's happening is that, you know, this is the front of her cheek here, and right here starts the edge of her zygomatic arch. So you have a little bit of light here because it's more light facing as it turns parallel. And we're just going to make sure that we get that. And do more circular motions in here. Get a little bit of that texture. Oh yes, Wendy, have kept nose clean for 10 years with the ladies. Miss Hockey from around there. Yes, from Utica, right? I think hockey season's going to start again. That's the thing about hockey and basketball season. By the time it's over, it's already preseason. I mean, there's not much of a break in the seasons. Not like baseball. Baseball, you have a lot of months from October all the way to April. But I think football has the longest, right? Football is the longest streak or time between. Let's see if we can work on some of the hairs. I'm going to create a chisel with this. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife, and let's create a chisel. Let me just go like this. See, we have a nice chiseled edge here. And let's see if we can make some really nice hairs. Like I said, this erases really nicely. You're going to like this element of the inks, of these sepia mixes, I should say. And I'm not trying to, you know, resolve the hair right away. I'm just trying to get the shape of the hair first and then go from there. We have some individual hairs here. One second rule really is going to help us here. Just how interesting how these individual hairs kind of come out like that. And then we're just going to keep going back and forth with that hair like I did with the painting of Gabriella. I just very slowly just built up the hairs and working on the large masses first and then coming in with darker values. When we come back next week, we're going to come in a lot with that dark mixture and really start hitting some of these areas. The sepia with the quill, good question. So that is the best question of the day. So way to go, Blue. Let's go ahead and put some let's put some media mixture in that pro quill, huh? Let's see. This might be the first time that I'm using it. So let's check it out. We definitely could do that in the eyebrows, right? So here goes nothing. Hey, just like those commercials. You know, remember those commercials for Nuttin' Honey? When they say, hey, what are you having for breakfast? And they say, nothing, honey. And so I say, here goes nothing, honey. Yes, I know I'm a cheese ball. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom in here and we'll see, you know, we can answer Honey's question, Blue's question here. Oh, nice. Look at that. definitely glasses territory. Now it might look dark, but it's going to dry, so no worries. Oh, I love it. What do you guys think? Isn't that amazing to go ahead and paint with draw with sepia? Great idea. This looks really good. And when it dries, it's gonna come back into line. So here we go. We can actually work on the eyelashes. How cool is this? Pay attention to the 1 second rule. Keeps us from being equidistant and the same size. Thanks guys. Great suggestion, honey. Blue, that's a great suggestion. Look at that. Wow. That really looks great, doesn't it, guys? And let's see if we can continue this and see where we can actually use that. So look how nice that looks. Great suggestion. Let's come down to the nostril and see if we can make that nice hard edge of a nostril here using this technique. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this edge here. Now this paper is a pain in the neck, so we have to make sure we don't scrape it. This is the last I'm going to be using this paper, that's for sure. But I'll muddle through. Oh, there's a nice line here on the corner of her mouth. And let's see if we can get that. Yeah, this is much better than, let's say, if we were attacking this with the airbrush. We can, but why would you when you have a better tool that's even more exact? Now remember, when you have light pressure, even in this, you're going to have a lighter application of the sepia and the crow quill. And then we can come back with our light mixture and see if we can sort of bring in the shadow here. And let's come back in with the medium mixture. Yeah, the medium mixture definitely does a much better job here. And then we have some creases in here. So we're just going to make sure we put some creases in. You really get a feeling of these two lips kind of coming against each other. There we go. And let's zoom back out. Okay, not bad. I think that worked out really well, you know. I don't know which tip. It's a very pointy tip. I got these from Speedball, so I really couldn't tell you exactly what the name is, but it's a very sharp, detailed tip. So let's see where else we can utilize this crow quill while we have it going in our pen holder. So let's go ahead and just very lightly, you don't want to dig into the paper, we're just gonna use that. Because the crow quill will dig into your paper, so you have to be careful. Right? You just have to make sure you don't put too much pressure. Yeah, I don't see it at all. If anything, it looks like a number 20. Yep, it looks like a number 20. I hope that helps. I don't know if they are different with different brands, Wendy. I don't know too much about crow quills. I mean, I use them in high school a lot, and this is the first time I started using them, you know, with the airbrush during the live streams. Oh, you're welcome. Wendy asked, do I like it better than the brush? I think they both have their pros and cons, right? The brush is going to do some things better. So I think they both have their place in painting the portrait in airbrush. Definitely. They both have their place. You can't go too crazy with this. It's good to create hair texture, but you can't go too nuts with it because it will start to tear apart your paper, and that's not good. And that's just going to inhibit the overall quality because it's going to be a different in texture. So we have to use this sparingly. But yes, when used correctly, this is fantastic, Wendy. But yes, same thing with the brush though. The brush, when used correctly and sparingly, it's just incredible. Let's see if I could just ever so lightly. I want to put a little more definition on the cast shadow that the nostril, the wing of the nostril, is putting on the face there. Just a little bit, just personal choice, personal preference, nothing too big. We have some errant hairs in here. Let's just start putting them in. But see, like the errant hairs here, they're kind of hard edged. I think the brush would be a little better there. Let's see, in the ear here, there's some really nice sharp edges. Let's establish some sharp edges with the crow quill. Just like right there. Right here is a sharp edge, but then it gets soft. And right here. Some different direction. So it's nice. So we're able to define the hair or get definition in the hair pretty quickly. So that's good. We'll put Mr. Crow Quill away over here. Make sure it doesn't fall off the table and hurt the cat, because these things are sharp. Sharp as a razor. Let me clean it because I want to use it again. Oh, that's so cool. Great suggestion there, Blue. That's true. The brush won't accidentally. I agree there. So let's see here. So, okay, so you can see when we come back how I need to work on that hand and sort of bring that together. And then I think we're at this point, I'm going to be able still to utilize the white pastel because I'm layering so much sepia. So I think we're going to be able to do it. But I'm going to do a test on the side and see if there is a blue shift with the pastel, because that could ruin our day. So I'm going to test it first before I go into that. So we definitely want to make sure that we are not going to experiment on the work that we were doing, working 6 hours on. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to work on this here, this shape here. And so let me blow that up over here, my reference. And then we have the light coming here, and then we have a shape over here. So we want to bring this light coming over here. And what that does, it really describes this area, I think the mandible, or is it called the masseter? Not sure. It's one of those. And there's some light in here. We'll do some circular motions, get some texture while we're pulling out this light here. Let's see what I missed. So Hillbilly says he used jeweler's rouge and leather to polish the sharp edges of the nibs, just like you used to keep the... Oh, so you use that when you're doing the crow quill? Is that true? Hillbilly, you work with crow quills? That's really cool. Pull out some of the lights there in the wing of the nostril. Oh wow, leather tools to keep it straight. The nibs will... Oh, I will roll just a little. That's fantastic. So you get much more life out of them. Is that correct? I can imagine. It's so important to get the sense of light as it's washing over her face, and not just here but down here, and the intensity, how it grows in some areas, like right here next to the dark of the cast shadow here. It's kind of more of an intense light, so we'll make sure we make it a little more intense right here. Maybe we can use this because there's a little bit of a shape here kind of comes out and then comes back in. So we'll work on that some more. Oh wow! So let's grab on the paper, much sharper, clean edge, and wow, that's fantastic. And also, it helps out the leather tools. That's amazing. I love that. And so great tip. Where would I find something like that? Those leather tools that I can sharpen. Where would I find that? Would I be able to buy that? Hillbilly on eBay or something like that, or on Amazon? I would love to know. That would be great. Yeah, space to work. I definitely feel for you all who don't have space. And if I didn't have space, I would probably work a lot more in digital art. And what I might suggest is when I was a young man living in my parents' house, when I was a kid in high school, I would take over the dining room table after dinner. And the only thing my mom said was I had to clean up after me and have it in the same condition I left it. So that's what I did. I took over the dining room. But the only bad thing when you don't have space is you can't just leave it there and come back. You have to break everything down. So yeah, so that was my life when I first was an artist. Interesting right here, since the light is coming from the right and above, we're going to see a lot more light here because this is facing the light. So let's make sure that we lighten this area here. See, a lot more light is being here. So we're light detectives. We're not just painting likenesses, but more importantly, we're painting the light. So when we see something and we say, hey, that nose is facing the light, chances are, if we didn't realize that right away, that we have to fix it a little bit. Little harsh there. I'm gonna fix it. So sometimes you might get overzealous, and that's no problem. Let it dry and you erase it when you're ready. So that's so important, you know. Wow, 70 by 30 foot heated workshop. That's really nice. And Hillbilly says yes. And so let's see if rouges can be from Tandy or letter suppliers, but mostly fine rougers will work. Oh wow, thank you. And Naval Subscriber says, that's me with the garage. It's annoying, but you can't abandon a project when you need a break and pick up where you left. Oh sure, definitely. So yeah, I mean, space definitely is a challenge, and I feel for everyone who doesn't have the space. And I pray, my prayer is that you do have more space coming, and this way, you know, you can leave it and have a much smoother restart rather than having to, you know, break everything down and then put everything back up. That is kind of counterproductive. So you see the hair is coming along nice and slowly, but not too slow. See how rough that is? We have to make sure, even though that's a gradual change from the side plane of the nose to the cheek, it isn't like that harsh. So we just have to make sure that we don't go crazy. Don't be a cowboy, I always say, when it comes to airbrushing. Subtlety. Guns blazes always works in the westerns, but not with airbrushing. We have to be very subtle, ever so subtle. So still not happy with the light mixture today. I think it was giving me a little bit of an issue more. Hey, what's up there, Todd? Good to see ya. How are you, my friend? So we have 2 minutes left, and I'm going to go back in with the medium mixture, and let's just work a little more on her hair while we're here. So you see how great the crow quill worked. Really did a great job, and we could kind of calm that down, some of the harshness of the crow quill. And looks like we are very close to the end, 11:28, but I'm going to put a little more medium mixture in the airbrush. And let's close it. And we'll just work on her hair a little bit more. And a little more intensity right here on that side plane of her forehead. So let's take a look at what we have so far while we have a minute. And we're just going to remove our magnets and remove our border and see what we have. See how it's shaping up. There we go. Not bad, you know. Not bad for the first installment of working with sepia. So I think we're doing pretty good, pretty well. So I think it's coming along. And when we come in with the, thanks Todd, I appreciate it. When we come in with the dark mixture next week, things are really going to start picking up. We're gonna define that hand, work on this area, and then that's going to be part 4. So it looks like part 5 is going to 5 or 6. I'm not sure is going to be the final one. Most likely 5, it looks like, because of how fast this is going. Maybe 6 episodes, I'm not sure. Next project after this, we're going to go back to the black and white with the gray paper. So that's going to be cool. Maybe we'll switch on and off a little bit. That would be really neat. So it is 11:30. So that's the full 2 hours, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat, Mr. Hillbilly. I really appreciate that more than you know. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Thank you for all the great suggestions. You all are so fantastic. I really am touched that you spend your precious Wednesday night with me. It means a lot to me, and every one of you, I just want to say thank you. And I hope everyone has the best night. And take care, everybody. Let me see. How do you turn this thing off? No.